The suitcase was buried 6 feet beneath the kitchen floor, and according to the police records, it should not have existed at all. Nathan Holloway discovered it 3 weeks after moving into the old farmhouse. On Briar Hill Road. At first, the house felt perfect. Quiet countryside. Endless open fields. No neighbors for miles. After years of exhausting city life, Nathan wanted silence more than anything else. As a crime journalist, he spent most of his adult life chasing terrible stories through crowded streets. Filled with violence, corruption, and tragedy, the farmhouse represented escape. A fresh beginning after his divorce nearly destroyed him emotionally. The property itself was old but beautiful in a lonely, forgotten kind of way. Built sometime during the 1970s, the house carried faded charm, creaking wooden floors, and large dusty windows overlooking dead cornfields, stretching endlessly toward dark forests beyond the hills. The previous owner, an elderly man named Walter Griggs, died without family 6 months earlier. Nobody seemed eager to buy the isolated property. Nathan quickly understood why. Locals in the nearby town of Black Ridge behaved strangely whenever the farmhouse came up in conversation. People changed subjects, avoided eye contact. One waitress at the diner quietly warned him, "Some places are abandoned for reasons." Nathan laughed it off. As a journalist, he heard ghost stories constantly, but he believed in facts, not rumors. But then the digging started. One rainy afternoon, Nathan decided to renovate the kitchen after noticing part of the wooden floor felt unstable. Beneath his feet. At first, he assumed old pipes caused the problem, but while removing damaged floorboards, his shovel struck something hard beneath the dirt foundation. Clang. Metal. Nathan frowned. The farmhouse did not have a basement, so discovering anything buried beneath the floor immediately felt strange. He dug carefully for nearly an hour before uncovering the corner of an old black suitcase wrapped tightly in rotting plastic. The sight instantly unsettled him. The suitcase looked ancient. Heavy. Locked with rusted metal clasps still sealed shut after decades underground. Mud covered most of it, but Nathan noticed faded initials scratched near the handle. EM. His stomach tightened slightly. Something about the suitcase felt wrong, like it did not belong in the world anymore. Thunder echoed outside, while rain hammered against windows. Above him. Nathan carried the suitcase upstairs, placing it carefully on the kitchen table. The locks refused to open. Eventually, curiosity overcame caution. Using a hammer, Nathan smashed the rusted clasps apart. The suitcase slowly creaked open. Inside were bundles of old newspaper clippings, photographs, and several cassette tapes wrapped carefully beside stacks of yellowed documents. No money. No jewelry. Nothing valuable, just evidence. Nathan picked up one. Photograph first. A young woman smiling beside a lake. Dark hair. Bright eyes? Maybe. 25 years old. Written on the back in faded ink were 3 words. Emily Morgan, 1987. The same initials, Ian? Nathan searched the rest of his suitcase more carefully. Every newspaper clipping carried the same headline: "Local woman vanishes." Without trace, missing teachers still not found. Blackridge police and search for Emily Morgan. Nathan felt cold suddenly. He remembered hearing the name before. Emily Morgan, a missing persons case from decades ago that officially remained unsolved. The woman disappeared in 1987 after leaving work one evening. No body was ever recovered. No suspects arrested, and eventually the town stopped talking about her entirely. Until now. Nathan immediately sensed the story hidden beneath the dust. His journalist instincts awakened instantly. That night, he drove into town searching old archives inside the Blackridge Public Library. Hours later, he uncovered disturbing details. Emily Morgan taught 2nd grade at the local elementary school, described as kind, intelligent, and deeply loved by students. Then one October evening, she vanished while driving home during heavy rain. Her abandoned car was discovered near Briar Hill Road, only 3 miles from Nathan's farmhouse. Police suspected foul play, but evidence disappeared quickly. The case went cold within months. Nathan stared at the old newspaper photograph. Emily. Something about her smile felt painfully alive despite the decades separating them. Then he noticed another name repeated frequently throughout articles. Sheriff Daniel Mercer, lead investigator, still alive, still living in Blackridge. The next morning, Nathan visited the retired sheriff at a small cabin near the woods, outside town. Daniel Mercer answered the door, slowly leaning heavily on a cane. Age had hollowed him visibly, but his sharp gray eyes remained alert. The moment Nathan mentioned Emily Morgan, the old sheriff's expression changed completely. Fear. Real. Fear. Where did you hear that name? He asked. Quietly. Nathan hesitated before telling him about the suitcase. Mercer's face turned pale instantly. You found it? Not. What? The old sheriff invited Nathan inside, locking the door behind them. For several moments, Mercer simply stared at the rain outside. Then finally he spoke. 37 years ago, Emily Morgan disappeared because she learned something she was never supposed to know. Nathan listened carefully. Back then, Blackridge looked peaceful on the surface, but corruption poisoned everything underneath. Local officials, police officers, business owners, some very dangerous men controlled this town. Emily accidentally discovered evidence connecting several prominent people to illegal activities, including disappearances, tied to human trafficking routes passing through nearby highways. Nathan felt shock ripple through him. She planned exposing them publicly, Mercer continued. But someone found out before she could. The room fell silent. Nathan finally asked the obvious question. Was she murdered? Mercer closed his eyes painfully. I believe so. Then why was the evidence buried beneath my house? The old sheriff's hands trembled slightly. Because your farmhouse belonged to Deputy Harold Bennett in 1987. Nathan recognized the name instantly from old articles. Bennett worked closely with Mercer during the investigation. What happened to him? Mercer looked directly into Nathan's eyes. 2 days after Emily disappeared, Bennett killed himself. Officially. Nathan felt chills spread across his body. You think he buried the suitcase? Mercer nodded slowly. I always suspected Bennett discovered who murdered Emily. Maybe he planned exposing them himself. Maybe he became afraid. Either way, he hid the evidence before dying. Then why never tell anyone? Mercer's voice nearly broke. Because every person connected to the case started dying mysteriously. Witnesses, informants, even officers. I realized corruption reached further than I could fight alone. Nathan left the cabin deeply shaken. That night he listened to the cassette tapes discovered inside the suitcase. Most contained recordings of Emily speaking, privately documenting suspicious activities she uncovered around Blackridge. Names. Dates. Locations. Then the final tape played. Static crackled softly before Emily's frightened voice emerged, trembling through the speakers. If anyone finds this recording, then something happened to me. I trusted the wrong people. They know I have evidence. Tonight I am meeting someone near Briar Hill Road who claims they want to help expose everything. If I do not come back, please make sure the truth survives. The recording suddenly cut off. Nathan sat frozen in silence. Afterward. Because he realized something horrifying. Emily likely died believing nobody would ever hear her voice again. The next morning, Nathan contacted state investigators, reopening the entire case, officially using evidence from the suitcase. The story exploded nationwide within days. Old corruption scandals resurfaced. Former officials faced investigation. Families connected to other disappearances finally received renewed attention after decades of silence. But the biggest discovery came weeks later during excavation near Briar Hill Road. Human remains buried deep beneath the forest. Dental records confirmed the body belonged to Emily Morgan. After 37 years, she finally came home. Blackridge held a memorial service shortly afterward. Hundreds attended, former students. Now grown adults placed flowers beside Emily's photograph while rain fell softly across the cemetery. Nathan stood quietly near the back, holding one final item from the suitcase. A letter Emily never mailed. The paper had faded badly with time, but one line remained perfectly readable. The truth only stays buried when nobody chooses to dig for it. Months later, Nathan remained in the farmhouse. Despite everything, people often asked why. The answer was simple. Because beneath that old house, he did not just find a suitcase. He found a forgotten voice, waiting decades for someone brave enough to finally listen. And sometimes the dead leave pieces of themselves, hidden carefully in darkness, hoping one day the right person uncovers the truth. They could not carry alone anymore.